Hello, 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 everyone. Good day, good day. We are here to welcome you to a brand new year, right? Happy New Year and all that amazing stuff. And so we want to say welcome to the Impact Podcast. All right, we are back and we have our friends with us. So excited about this conversation tonight. I was just telling DeAndrea, we were in our meeting earlier, and it hadn't even come to me yet, but it was with the leadership team, and two of them literally brought up this. They said the words, and one of them, the first one, brought it up and said, I'm navigating life right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to not have guilt along the way. And I was like,
Wow.
I said, so I was, as soon as it came to me, I was like, the podcast is about that tonight, right? And so one of my other admin team members were next, and she said the same thing. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate it. So without further ado, what I would like to do is introduce our amazing guest, Dr. DeAndrea Fleming. I'm going to let you tell your story or an intro, because I'm sure I wouldn't do it any justice unless I'll say this, unless Obiama, you would like to, and then we're gonna let Dr. Fleming do it.
Well, I'm going to say this is that you cannot judge a book by its cover, right? And one of the things that I know about her is that she is so more than whatever the title is, whatever you like she she is such a gift. She's so brilliant and so amazing. And so I want to say, just kind of buckle up and get ready for the gems and the nuggets that's about to uh, be unwrapped as we experience the gift of Dr. DeAndrea, right? Yeah.
Oh, thank y'all.
Yeah, it's not even Christmas, but we're going to get a gift. I'm excited. I'm excited. So if we can do that and pass the mic to you and ask you to tell us, who is Dr. DeAndrea Fleming?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am so honored to be with friends today, right? That's what it is. And so, as you stated, I am Dr. DeAndrea Fleming. Hey, y'all. I'm from Dallas, Texas, born and raised. Um, my story. Wait a minute. What is that? What is it? I found it. No, no, it can't be. Okay, DeAndrea, let's do this again. But we've done it the same way every time. Okay, it's been 18 years. Okay, try it again. But it's still there. No, it's still there. And it's hard. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But we got to know. We got to know. Okay, just call the doctor. Hey, doc, just give it to me plain. What is it? So it is. It is. It is. As I'm driving home from the doctor, I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and all I can see is that I left that office with me and breast cancer. And as I drove, all I could think about is wanting my mom. I just want my mama. I just want my mama. And I drove to the cemetery and found myself wondering, and I wandered to my mother's wet grave. And as I sat there, Mama, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't want to die. I have two young children. I have two young children. I'm a good person. I pay my tithes. I go to church. I'm a teacher. I've spent my life giving to kids. I don't want to die. What did I do to deserve this? What do I do? And all I could think about was that I had two choices. If I did nothing, my faith lied in this cemetery. But if I got up, Where would I find my strength? My strength were my children. So I did get up. I'm choosing God. I'm choosing you. I will choose to fight. I will choose the chemo. I will choose the radiation. I will choose the bilateral mastectomies. I will choose the doctor's orders. I will choose life. And it's because of that that I'm standing before you 11 years cancer free. And it is because of that that I help any woman choose how to find her own resilience, how to find her voice, and how to choose herself. Because in that moment, I had to choose me. And so I help people find their voice, choose themselves, and is who you have before you. And I tell that story because it hasn't always been easy to tell that story. It hasn't always been easy. And so, what has now become the story has now become the fight for people. And so now I now serve as a 6-year elected official. I now serve as a trustee. I am a 23-year educator. I fight for the education of all my students. I fight in the classroom. I fight in politics. And I have as the same way I fought for my life. And so I am honored to stand before you because that's what I do know. But what I also know is that in the fight, you have to learn that you're not choosing to die, but you're choosing yourself. And so the moment that you stop choosing you is the moment you stop choosing those breaths that give you life. And so I'm honored to be here today. I'm ready to talk about the guilt because there was so much guilt in those choices, right? And so that's why I wanted to reiterate that you're choosing you because that's where the guilt comes in. And the moment that the guilt sets in is where you stop thinking about who you were choosing first. And so, in order to fight, you have to choose you.
Well, that's how we kicking this off. That's how we get. I mean, like I told y'all, I told y'all, just buckle up, and get ready. That's how we kicking 2024 off. I'm just saying.
I see. Yeah, I was not prepared for the. I was not prepared for the introduction at all. And first of all, you guys already know how we do. There's no, like I told DeAndrea as well. Like we don't pre-script or anything. It was like, oh, we had to put on. I know I had to put on my seatbelt. I'm like, oh my goodness, but the story, and I know I'm learning. That our story is sometimes it can be surface, but digging deeper to find that that story, you begin to learn yourself more and more. And so you said it's been 11 years.
Yes.
How long did it take you? Um, and maybe it didn't even start with 11 years. I was going to ask, how long did it take you to create or define or be clear about your story? It may have started before then, but I could imagine for some people finding their story or even understanding that is my story. You said choose you, but I could just imagine for some people that they're not able to even identify what their story is.
Oh, that is a good question. So, in all transparency,
Please.
um, I found my story a year and a half ago. In all transparency, I think I was doing the things like I knew I was a strong friend, right? I'm the strong friend, and so I'm doing the things that strong friends do just because it's innately in me. But I didn't have the story of that because everything in me was saying I don't want to be the strong friend anymore. But on the other side of it, I needed to find the community to help me find my story. And so that's why we're together, right? Because I found my community, and it was in the community that I was able to tell the story. Because when I told this story a year ago, I was shaking. I
Hmm.
used to, and once I finally actualized the story, I would tell it from my stomach, and my stomach would cramp up and I couldn't breathe. And so it was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not ready to tell the story yet. Maybe I need to take pieces from the story. And so it got to a point of, but it's mine, right? And so what was I afraid of, and who am I afraid of, and who does not need to hear this, or who am I keeping from hearing this? And that's what I had to tell myself. The moment I'm not telling myself the story, I'm keeping somebody from being free.
Yes.
So, what am I pushing through and what is preventing me from telling this story? And so, I had to get real with going back to the places where I was hurt. And so, I was carrying hurdles in that hurt. And
Mm.
so, as I was working through my own breakthrough, see, I needed my breakthrough in order to tell my story too. And that's why I didn't understand. And so, I had to go get my breakthrough. So, I actually just got my breakthrough, y'all, probably what was that, 6 months ago? Not even 6 months.
So wait a minute. I have to kind of press the pause button because you said the hurt and the hurdles.
The hurt and the hurdles.
The hurt and like that's a whole lot. The hurt and the hurdles. And what I love about everything that you've shared is that the guilt that's in the hurt, that's in the hurdles,
Mhm.
right? The guilt, not necessarily that it is coming from other people. A lot of times the guilt is self-inflicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just love everything that you are saying, even in the part of who am I protecting? Who am I, you know, like what's the embarrassment around it? And then what is the story that I'm telling myself that's keeping me from telling the story?
That.
Right.
Yes.
So the story in the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you start telling yourself another story, and you tell yourself another story before you even live out the story for real, right? Like I didn't created a whole story before I actually lived out that story. So now when I'm trying to live out the story, I can't even really live out that story because I walked into the room with a whole nother story playing out in my head. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
And you're not even sure that you believe the story.
right.
And you don't, and it made me think about this when you were saying that, because I'm like, sometimes we go to the comfortable story, right? And so is it because the more comfortable it is, the less guilt we'll have, right? Because sometimes the guilt comes with the choice that we made. And so had I not chosen that choice, right? So maybe things wouldn't have turned out that way had I not made that choice. So let me kind of make it a little comfortable and try to refine and make this story a little prettier. How did you come to terms with, no, here is the true story, and be able to face the guilt that may have come with it and say, you know what, here's the truth here. And now that I experienced the hurt and the hurdle, now I can kind of get to the root of that. Like, what did that process look like?
Yeah, because inside of that there was a lot of projecting, right? It was about other people. I could make this about other people. Well, people didn't do this for me, and they didn't
Yes.
do this for me. See, I was a strong friend. I wasn't using my voice. I didn't tell them that I needed them. I didn't. I needed this. I was quiet. I sat in my own ego. I sat in my own pride. So some of these things I was doing, I was self-inflicting, and so it was to the point where when I was coming out of my story, I had to sit in this for a moment and say, well, how did I get here? So let's look back. So you have all these hurdles on your back when you should have been jumping over them, right? You started picking them up. And so you thought you were Superwoman, right? Like, well, everybody else wanted to knock them over, or they just wanted to go around them. I'm gonna pick mine up. Now here I am down the road. I'm sick, and I'm like, well, how did we get here? Well, I got sick. So why did you get sick? Well, because of this and this and this and this. No, no, no. Let's go back and let's deal with them. What was happening? Let's stop acting like, so I would look at people when people would lose, one of the things that was real big, I lost my mom and I lost my dad right after it. And so I always remember, when I got past those places, right, thinking I got past the grief, um, I would look at other people who would lose their parents, and I would say, well, people lose their parents all the time. It's just something that happens. And so because I blocked myself from it, my speaking out to other people, well, it's going to happen. But what I wasn't realizing was that I really hadn't dealt with my grief the way I needed to deal with my grief. And so this is a hurdle that I picked up, and now I'm projecting on people as if they're supposed to deal with it the way I dealt with it, right? Which I had not dealt with it. And so these
Okay,
things.
wait. I got
Okay.
to pause because you giving it. You listen. You are all gas, no brakes. You giving it to us. All right. So wait a minute because I want to stop here for the listening audience. We are really good at projecting.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
We're really good at projecting. And I want to say that you're not alone. That when we have unprocessed trauma, it is so easy for us to not have empathy for other people because we haven't touched that place. We have pressed it down. we've
Yes.
suppressed it, and then we've just walked, like we literally just walked over it. We just stepped over it as
Mhm.
if it never happened. And it's easy because I'm very much like that. Well, it's a part of life. Get over it, right? And it's because I have become numb.
Yes.
I've become numb, I've become
Yes.
callous, and I haven't allowed myself to feel. And so then what happens is when people receive us, we come off as being heartless.
Yes. Like, oh,
And
you're
we're
so
not heartless. We just have not allowed ourselves to be open to touch those feelings and to grieve,
right.
right? And to scream and holler and right. And why is that? I love how you keep saying I was the strong friend. I love, love, love that, right? And we mask it in
Mhm.
pride, and we mask it in being a superwoman, and we mask it in being a boss, and we mask it in being a mom, and we mask it in all of these stories that we tell ourselves, and nobody is expecting what we're projecting.
Right.
Mm-hmm. 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 And one thing I know, I had this conversation not too long ago with a friend in regards to grief. Like, we don't talk about how to grieve, right? I know I did well, even with I would tell myself this story. One of my parents passed, like I'm not going to be able to deal. But it happened, and I was all, my father passed, and I was all about the business. I had it. I'm like, let me arrange this, let me arrange that. It was non-emotional. I did all that. Now the emotional part afterwards, I was like, grief. What does that look like? How do you grieve? What's the process? So much so that was a big part of therapy. I had to ask, like, how does this go? Right? I'm one of those people. You tell me what to do, like I'm good at that, but
Mhm.
not that middle ground. With feel what? The strong friend, the strong one. That
Mhm.
part is easy. So how do we get to that point though? And I'm sure, I know community is one, right? Community, having someone, people around you who can check you, make you be honest. But what did that process look like for you to dig into that grief while you were being the strong friend and the mother and the right everything else that I know that you are? How did you allow yourself or find yourself dealing with grief of two parents?
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think I had time. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest sibling, so there was no time in my mind. Right? These are just again the stories you tell yourself. So what I told myself was I did not have time. I have to do all these things. I have to be there for my old, for my younger brother and sister. The business still has to go on. I still got to get up and go to work. People are looking at me. They're expecting me to be okay. I've been okay when I was taking care of them when they were sick. And in my mind, these people were not there for me when they were sick. Nobody asked me if I ate today. Nobody asked me if I needed gas. Nobody asked me. So I created the narrative and the story in my head as well. Right. And so that's where, again, when you go year after year after year, what do? Is wall after wall after wall after wall. So things started hardening. My heart became callous. And so in the moments of those things, I started to tell myself, then I don't need the people. See, these, and I don't have to say that out loud, and I don't even have to think that. It just becomes reinforced the moments that when I need you the most, people are not there. So all these things, when people say, when you have these relationships, it's like, oh, you don't need anybody, or you're independent. Oh, women don't need men. It's not that people are walking around saying, I don't need anybody. It's just reinforced after you have a traumatic experience and another traumatic experience. And so it becomes reinforced. And so therefore, the walls come up, the heart is hardened, and we protect ourselves. And so it's just the brain's way of saying, guess what? I've been hurt before. We don't want any more of that. And so guess what? I stay away from it, run, abort, remove. We don't need it. And so what is happening is that over the year and a half, I had to find what? I had to find DeAndrea. Because if I didn't find DeAndrea was going to slowly lose who she really was. And I found myself in those spaces, especially when I wanted to elevate. When you wanted to elevate, you can't take who you've been hurt into those spaces. It doesn't work. And so I knew that, right? And so I said, okay, this is the time that I need my breakthrough. This is a time that I know I want to be somebody else, but I'm scared. And that is the scariest feeling, to lose yourself. Why? Because that's who you've been this entire time. And guess what the brain is telling you? There's nothing wrong with you. We've been good. What's wrong? We've been good. But everything inside you says, no, we haven't. We want our friends back. We want our smile back. We want the laughter just because, right? You remember we used to laugh and just because, like, oh, that's crazy. Let's just laugh. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Like, I wanted all that back for no reason. I wanted to just wake up and look at my kids and not have to think about what bad things could happen to them. I wanted to just get up and walk out into the world and not have to have that second thought of, did you think about this? Did you have a plan B? Did you have a plan C? Did you have a plan D? I wanted to have real relationships with women and not think about if they're going to hurt me, if they're going to leave me. I wanted to have a real relationship with the male that says, I love you unconditionally. So I had to do my work. And this was not about people, it was about myself. And so I went on this journey, right? And so that's where that real work began. And I realized that as I started taking these layers back, and I had to go to that first hurdle. And that first hurdle, I had to go back to where DeAndrea was first hurt. And when I tell you I ran from it, and I think, you know, Doc, you were there. I ran from it. Oh, I ran. I ran. When I tell you, I'm serious. I mean this wholeheartedly. I ran. The moment they said this is a hurt, you have to go back to the first place where you were first hurt and deal with it. I ran from it, because the moment that I ran from it, what I was telling myself was that the moment that I deal with this is the moment that I have to open up everything. And I don't know who I'm going to be when I open this up. And I don't know any of these people in this room. I don't think I even trust y'all like that y'all not going to go back and say she's crazy as I don't know what, right? That's the first thing I'm thinking. And then the second thing was like, well, who's going to put me back together? I am Humpty Dumpty at this moment. And that's what's wrong, that we don't have people that we can trust, that when we want to have the Humpty Dumpty moments. This is why I'm the strong friend, because I don't think I trusted people enough to put me back together again.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Lord. Oh goodness. Okay, for those of you who are listening, like she is boom, 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 rapid fire. Oh my God. Okay, let's just pause for a second. So I know that, and we talk about this all the time. Aaliyah, and welcome Damaris. We talk about this all the time. What has been working with the three of us, Dr. DeAndrea, is that we've created community. And at the point that you were able to, fall down, there was a community that you didn't know,
Right.
but there was a community that was formed because there was a safe space, and because there were skilled people in the space
Mm-hmm.
that allowed you to be cracked open. And that's the part, because community, we need, in order for us not to feel the guilt, we have to be in safe spaces with real community, where there are doctors that can get the knives and get the bandage and get this the whatever it is to stitch you back up. And so we were able to be in that place. We were able to be in that place where we didn't know what we didn't know, and we didn't know who was a doctor. We didn't know who was the medic. We didn't know who was going to give us resuscitation, resuscitation. We didn't know. And it was so, we was so far, and I can say we, because we were definitely together, that you just was like, whoever can sew me, like whoever can put me back together, because I'm way out here,
Yeah.
just put me back together. But it took you saying, I have to show up for me, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So in that part and at that point, it was really about you abandoning everything that you knew
Mm-hmm. Everything.
and
Everything.
saying, I'm going to let you do surgery because I'm bleeding.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was no longer triage. It was
It
full.
was,
It was all hands on deck.
yeah, it was all hands on deck, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally all
It was,
hands on deck. Yeah.
yeah, that was
So
good.
the question that comes to mind is how, because I'm thinking about, right, those who are watching now and will be watching the replay. How do you know when you're bleeding?
You don't.
so that then what do you do? Like, I'm right. It may be someone watching, like, I think I'm good, or like, so what do I do now?
So you know what? This is what I'll tell you. It's so the first question I think that really hit home for me was, what has it cost you?
Mm-hmm.
What has it cost you? What has it cost you? So, DeAndrea, you don't want to deal with this hurdle. What has this hurdle cost you? Oh, baby. So we can sit here and we can play with this all you want to. You can say, I don't know, I'm not bleeding. I don't know, I'm not bleeding. What does it cost you? Oh, what it cost me? My time. Okay, well, keep going. It cost me my real relationship with my children. Okay, keep going. It cost me not being able to move past my parents leaving me. What? Keep going. It cost me not dealing with the fact that they actually left me. Okay, keep going. It cost me real relationships. Keep going. It cost me money. Okay, keep going. You know what I'm saying? So now, so are you bleeding? Well, oh no, am I bleeding? Yeah, yeah, I'm bleeding. Okay, no, I'm dead. I'm actually dead. Somebody better come over and hit me real quick. That was the question, right? What does it cost me? And then what it, because it's costing you now, what's your next choice? What are you going to do next? What, what do you, so because of this, now what are you going to do? So now it really is life or death, right? I can die a physical death or I can die a mental death. And so my mental death means I die from all these thoughts and these limiting beliefs and all the things I said I couldn't do, or I can die a physical death because that's the only other place that I can go at this moment if you're really bleeding out to this capacity and you don't know. To die a death inside, to bleed internally, oh, that is a horrible way to go. But to die a mental death that says, I have a way to get rid of these things, to put new things in, then I'm probably going to sign up for that one. Put me in, coach.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, Damaris, what you got? Damaris taking it all in. You're like, yeah, I'm here
You
for this.
know, and my apologies for coming in late, Dr. DeAndrea. I'm just gonna say you are amazing. I'm soaking it all up. Vulnerability, that's something I am actually working on, right? To put my guard down because I am that strong friend. Held up my whole family as we said goodbyes to my father, didn't shed one tear, right? Because I was expected to be that strong person. So I am just listening to everything you're saying. I'm living this right now. Just got back with a girls trip with my daughter, trying to reunite, rekindle, I don't know, be a mom again and just like her. I love my kids. I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't like her, right? I didn't like what she was about. I didn't like what she was doing, and yeah, that was I was bleeding. I was bleeding. And I had to take a moment to say, I need to fix this. I need to stop bleeding. Because if not, it's going to cost me my relationship with my daughter, right? That I just had to stop. And my mental stress, right? I can't be right in the mind helping others if I'm going through stuff. So yeah, I'm just loving all of you. So keep talking. I'm here. I'm not feeling very well. That's why I look like horrible, guys. So sorry. You get what you get and you don't get upset. Um, but I showed up, so
You
yeah.
showed up. You
Thank
showed
you.
up.
Still
Thank you
love.
for coming. You know we love seeing your face and hearing your voice, right?
Thank you.
She said
Oh my
vulnerability.
God.
That was the other thing
Yes.
about it. It was the vulnerability. So that was that's what I said. And so when you asked me, so I think I've always been here. So it wasn't this aha, right? I think I've always been on the journey. It was getting me closer to it and finding the community. That's what I was praying for, the community. And so that's why it's like this big crescendo, right? Of finally being in the community. And I preach and will preach to the mountaintops about the community. But it was but what it changed over the past 2 years was I was praying for my vulnerability. I really wanted that, right? Because that's to what the mirror said about the strong friend, is that you don't show those things. Those things just, it's kind of hard. You can't, like, somebody, your friend coming over crying, you can't be like, oh well, let me tell you what happened to me. Right? You don't really get those moments. And then when you get that moment, the moment you start telling somebody about what happened to you, they'll usually cut you off and start telling you what happened to them. And I just, you're like, oh, okay, well, so then you just, you take the back seat and you show up for them. It's what we do. We show up for everybody. And in a moment you're thinking in your head like, well, now who do I call? It'll be many nights where I'm holding my phone and I'm scrolling through, and I may have over 1,000 contacts in my phone, and I have nobody that I can really figure out what button I'm going to push to have this conversation with, right? And at that moment, I put the phone and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, are these my real friends? And I'm like, well, yes. What I realized, y'all, when I was having my moment, I had sent a text to 5 friends, and I'm saying, this is what I'm going through. In the response that I received, one of them said, hold tight, I'm in a meeting, I'm gonna call you back, right? Love you. The other one says, what the? And that's it, right? And then the other one calls back and says, hey, what's going on with you? This is not like you. I've never, you're hurting my feelings because I've never expected this from you. I've always thought of you as this person. I don't even know what to say because you're always the person pouring into me. And I'm just going to say, right now, I feel like you're being selfish. And then in the space that you're being selfish, I just don't know what to say. And I just want you to know that, really, if this is an issue, then, maybe you probably should have not made the decision that you made so quickly. And I said, thank you.
Oh no, did she freeze? Please
I,
tell me she didn't freeze because I needed that
I
back.
know.
I needed the ending of that story. Come on, Dr.
And
DeAndrea.
look, I was patiently waiting. I was like,
Right, I'm like,
she's gonna unfreeze in a second.
I'm
And
over
then
here twiddling my thumbs.
I'm
Come
still
on.
thinking about the friend, like,
Yeah, they ain't a friend. They
and
ain't a
you know what? Again, y'all, I'm so when she said that, when she said, I called the 5 friends, I immediately thought about how we jump on it. Well, y'all will text. I need y'all to call me now.
right, right.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
dear.
yeah,
Okay, I'm back. I don't know what just
yep,
happened.
yep. Welcome
Not
back.
like
Welcome
this
back.
said,
You
gliggly.
said you left us at the cliffhanger. We was at the
Yeah,
cliffhanger
Oh, so
with
the friend when they said, okay, so you heard the
yeah,
friend when they said, okay, I'm
yeah.
not expecting this from you. Okay,
Right,
yeah.
right,
So when
right.
they said that, I said, immediately I said, oh my goodness, I didn't know what to do either, right? And I said, oh, okay, well, I said, then they sort of offered me resources, right? And I said, okay, well, that's not what I want. And they said, well, maybe if you would have stayed in the space you were in a little bit longer, this wouldn't have happened to you. And maybe you're just being selfish right now. Thank you. Woo. And then I get I get a text from my friend, and she's on another island, and she says, hey, friend, I've been having probably one too many drinks right now, so this may not be clear, but I want you to know that I love you, first of all. You are the strongest person that I know. I love you for the risk that you have always taken. I know you are going to be bigger than Oprah. I've told you that. And I know that if there's anything that I have when I get back to the States, that I really want to be a silent investor. And I know we never talked about this, but I believe in you so much that I will give you money to do whatever it is that you need to do. Now, you never said anything about money, so I don't know if this is what, remember she said drinks, right? So I don't know if it's money that you need, but I want to be a silent partner in your company. But I also want you to know if it's words of encouragement that you need. You are the greatest. She said, you are the greatest motivator, the greatest speaker, the greatest, what did she say? The greatest speaker and the coach that I know that you can be. So if you are down and you are second guessing who you are, I told you that I'm so glad that you teamed up with Lisa Nichols, because I think you're going to surpass anything that she has. And that's what I want you to know, because I'm cheering for you. And I know that you will do anything that you set your mind to, and you have encouraged all of us. So you're not doing it just for the neighborhood. You're doing it because your name is Dr. DeAndrea Fleming, right? And she said, I love you. And she said, sit tight. And then she sends me some money on Apple Pay, right? And I'm like, I didn't even ask for that either. Right? And so I'm saying that to say, y'all, the friend, and so one friend I met later in life. And so that was the friend I met later in life. That friend who told me that I was selfish and everything, I met prior to. I'm saying that to say the friends that you met in your prior space before you were moving in your becoming, in your elevation, they can only speak to you in the position that they know you as. They still love you, but they can only talk to you from their capacity of them knowing you. They can't speak you into your next. The people where you're going and in their pursuit of where they're going can only talk to you in the space that will lead you into the capacity that they have themselves. So you have to have multiple communities that will love on you where you need them. And so the people that you need to promote you into your next, if you're trying to get into the next, are people who are moving into their next. And so I needed her in that moment to speak the life that I needed. Why? Because I met her in a community such as this one right here. That is who I needed. And she didn't know me from Adam, but she knew what the work, she knew the work that I put in. She knew what we've been doing. She knows where I want to go. And what she was not going to do was allow me to sit in the moments that I thought I was having, in the moments to sit too long and be stuck. And that's what I'm saying. This is why, and in my book, I have preached that. I say it over and over and over in 12 different ways. I wish I could say it in 12 different languages. Your community is everything. That God will send you people that will put you in spaces that can speak a certain way to you, that will give you life and resuscitate you in a way that has never been spoken into you before. And it's just that one word that will set your life on course. And so I'm appreciative of that. And it was in those moments that I've had people like that last year that was speaking to me in those moments that I needed them most. And so that's what I'm saying. So don't check your friends out. Sometimes you just gotta, it was really to check me, right? To remind me, like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. So now I know. And it's not that they didn't love me, it's just that they were they could only love me in the capacity that they had. And so now I realize this is the capacity that my friend has. Cool. I need to play with my gallon size capacity friends in these moments.
Yeah, come on. Listen, oh my, that reminds me of I don't know if y'all, I can't remember which book, but I remember that very concept in the one of Bishop T.D. Jakes' books, and it was talking about the tortoise, the turtle, and the giraffe. And it
Yes.
was like, so sometimes being amongst the turtles, it's not that they don't want to see it. It's just that being with the giraffe friend or the giraffe, they can see what the turtle can't. And so, like you said, community and who you're connecting with, sometimes it's, that's why they also say you can't tell everyone everything, right? Every story
Right.
isn't for everybody because they don't have the capacity to speak life into you. And so,
Mhm.
other thing that came to mind was being the strong friend and the strong person. Sometimes it is a little scary to be seen, right? Because we're the strong one. However, oh my gosh, what I am finding in the right community, all you right being seen is really the freedom that I know for me, I always wanted. It's like you see me because sometimes you're so used to, depending on your circle, you're kind of used to seeing everyone else and having the answer. But it can be scary to be seen. But at the same time, there is so much freedom in it because you get to have someone speak life into you. It's back and forth, right? It's like a healthy transaction instead of all this giving, giving, giving. So
Good.
It's
That's
so
so good.
passing the
hard,
mic.
and I'm gonna say this, it's so hard to have a circle that's always inspiring you and to be receptive of it, right? Because we're so used to being that strong person. I remember the other day, Obiama had said something to me, and it was something positive, and I immediately went and said, "Yeah, yeah, it's okay," and went to shifted to another conversation. She stopped me and said, "No, I need you to I need you to take this one, right?" And it's uncomfortable, right? And to pause and to be able to accept other people giving you like, that hoorah, that, congratulations, that you're doing an amazing job, friend, because you're not used to that, right? You're not used to people in your circle doing that. Um, Another part of vulnerability, being vulnerable, right? Where, Obiama checked me immediately and was like, I said, "You are amazing." And I was like, "Okay, I believe you." And yeah, okay, I got it.
I
Um,
receive it.
I got it. But it's when other people, well, to me, I don't know if you guys have witnessed this, but when you are around a circle and they're like, "Oh, you do these great, amazing things," it's kind of uncomfortable, right? Because we're always doing for everybody else. We're always encouraging everyone else. I'm always, bigging up everybody else for what they're doing so fabulously that sometimes it's really difficult to take that in yourself. I don't know. Just
No,
wanted
it
to throw
is.
that in. Yeah.
Great.
No, it absolutely is. It does not feel good. It's no different than you being the one that's always giving money to people. When
Yeah.
somebody give you money, you like, no, no,
No.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same
Not.
thing. It's the same thing.
Well, I really don't know. It depends on the amount of money.
Well, yeah, well,
Just
in
kidding.
context, in context.
No,
Okay,
no,
in
I get it.
context.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
depends on right. But no, it's asking for money, right? I think it's for me, it's like asking for something. It's like, okay, now I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Closed mouths don't get fed. Yeah, I heard that all my life, right? And I still to this day I'm like,
I still
okay.
have a closed mouth,
Me
right?
ask, right, what is it? Still
Mm,
have a closed mouth. But at the same time, it was one of those things. And so going through those processes because it was the stories that I was telling myself. And so, it's teaching people to come out of the spaces that in order to get back up, getting back up actually deals with self, right? We talk about church hurt. We talk about, mommy guilt, all these things. Those are stories we're telling ourselves. These are not things that was actually happening to us. They were things that we told ourselves. And so the moments that we start cutting off relationships and, or separating ourselves from people, it really was could you have renamed it before you could have cut it off? What else could it have been? And,
Mm,
some people are like, no, that's really what it was. Well, before we say that's really, really what it was, and we don't have all the facts, or we didn't actually take record, and we didn't write down the observations, and we didn't take notes in the midst of the transactions, and you didn't do any of that, then is that really what it was? And could we have renamed it? Well, probably so. Then what else could we have renamed it? Right. And so many of our relationships, we actually could restore a lot of our relationships with that model alone. And so that's one of the things that I had to go back through and figure out if I could restore some of my relationships, ones that I really wanted to. Right now, I'm not saying everyone, everything. Some people, when they show you who they are, believe them. I am a true believer of that. But in some cases, things can be restored, and if you're willing to do that work, you can go back in, and there's a model to that. It's one of those things. Can we do this self work? And that is, what am I telling myself? What story did I call it? Can I rename it? And I'm willing to go back to the person and say, hey, in the moments that I was thinking this, I could have done this better. I apologize for my behavior. What you can expect from me is, and moving forward, this is what I am choosing to do. It's hard. It is, it is. It's hard.
yeah.
It's
Listen,
hard.
I heard the educator in you during that whole thing. I heard the
It
educator, right? The
is.
documentation, the observation, the circle back, right? The whole cycle. I love it.
But what I'm saying. But if you're willing to do the work, it is possible. And so we don't talk about what people want to do. We just talk about what's possible in doing it, right? And so if you want what's possible, I can show you what's possible. Take the red pill or the blue pill.
All right. So you know what? We're going to do. Okay. So tell the people about your book, because I just want to it. I want to be respectful of the time, and we are winding down to the hour. But you have a fabulous book that you just released, and so how can people get your book?
So you can get my book at two places. I always like sending people to my website. The book is Purpose. You can find it at purpose.markofresilience.com. And you can find it at Amazon with my name, Dr. DeAndrea Fleming. It is called Position for Purpose. Position for Purpose. And it is 8 steps to get back up when you've been knocked down. And I kind of speak about my journey and my vulnerability. So purpose dot mark of resilience.
Take that down.
Thank you.
Purpose.markofresilience.com.
Yes, thank you.
So for those that are listening, if you have questions about how do you get back up and who's going to put you together, read the book, because clearly she knows about being knocked down. She knows about being left and kind of figuring out who is going to put me back together, because I cannot do it alone. I can't do it myself. Right. And so we want to thank you. We want to thank you. This was so, so good. This was so good. You ain't even give us a whole lot of opportunity. You just was rapid fire. Woo, 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 woo. So
Listen, I can't wait. I want my 20 back. Like,
But here's what I'm wondering. Here's what I'm wondering. I know we have a little time, but we can send the details. I would love if we could uh give a invitation right now to the Impact Summit, which is live, where we interact with one another and we have power people, which every person in the room is exactly that. But we would love if you would be in the place in Philadelphia
speaking in
live.
person. Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
live
yes.
in person. We could talk more about it, but I wanted to let the people know that the invitation has been given for Dr. DeAndrea Fleming to be in the house for the Impact Summit to share more of this goodness and the physical book.
yes,
And all she has to do is say yes. No, no
That's
pressure.
it.
No
That's all.
pressure.
That's it.
No pressure.
that's right. It's April 27th.
This is
It's
April.
Saturday, April 27th.
Yes, I say yes. That yes,
Yay!
yes, I say yes.
Yeah, that's gonna be
It's
hot.
Yes,
about to
yes, yes,
go down. It's about to go down.
yes.
But guys, don't wait to get the book. Get the book. Go on the
Yes.
Yeah,
website. You know how we do. You never know what else is going to be at the Impact Summit. So I'm just saying, go purpose.marketresilience.com and we'll be giving details about the Impact Summit. But make sure that you're in the place to be able to meet and have more of a conversation. And I know we're going to have a totally different conversation. And Dr. DeAndrea is going to bring even more fire. So make sure that you're in the place. But I know for me, and I'm sure we can go around, thank you so much for gracing
yes,
us with your presence and sharing so much. I know that resonated with me myself. I want to be selfish too and be like, we need the 20 more minutes. I want to be in for Damaris's 20 minutes.
yes,
So but we'll just pause. We'll pause. And but again, thank you so much. Thank you. This was such a rich conversation. Phenomenal. That's
yeah.
phenomenal.
And for you Philadelphia folks, school district is closed tomorrow for snow day.
It's
Woohoo!
it's official.
It's
It's
official.
official.
It's official. Yeah.
All right. I feel like I see staff sending me stuff via my
Yes,
email.
Shonda. Yes.
Shonda says she's marking her calendar
She's
too.
marking her calendar too. Yep.
April 27th is going down. It's going down. It's
Yes.
going down.
Thank you. Thank you. We will put in the show notes in the podcast, the website and how you can contact Dr. DeAndrea. Is that the best place to contact you as well?
Yes.
Purpose.resilience.com. That is the place to go. And that is that.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. You know, I love seeing your faces. We have not talked maybe in like 2 days. It feels like it's been forever. But can't wait to see you guys. Be safe. I don't in Texas, is it nice and it's no snow or
Well,
it's cold?
we were out of school on Monday and Tuesday, so they just went back on Wednesday, and so today it is actually 65 degrees. Imagine that in Texas.
Ah,
I literally was on the class last night and one of my clients is from Texas and said that. She said, no, we don't do that. We don't do that here. The whole
We shut,
everything shut down. She said
we
if
shut
the wind
down.
blows too much, we don't know how to operate. I said,
They just went back on Wednesday, and so yeah, so they're day two in.
mm, yeah.
Lord. Well, you guys be safe over there. Hold on to your hat. We're going to hold on to ours. And until next time, thank you for joining the Impact Podcast. We love you guys. Talk soon.
Bye.